Before the conversation could continue, a tall Australian in formal attire approached, skin patterns displaying what Kira had learned to recognize as concern. Ambassador Zev, the newcomer addressed him with a formal title Kira hadn't heard before. The council is surprised to see your research subject in a public setting. Zev's posture straightened subtly, but his hand remained firmly holding Kira's. Dr. Novak is not a research subject, Administrator Trell. She is a visiting scientist and my personal guest at the festival. The administrator's patterns shifted with skepticism. The council authorized scientific collaboration, not cultural integration. There are protocols, which I have followed meticulously, Zev interrupted. The council approved her limited cultural exposure under my supervision. The authorization was transmitted this morning. Administrator Trell's silver eyes narrowed. Some council members express concern about your objectivity regarding the human visitor. Your request for extended residence authorization raises questions about your intentions. Kira felt Zev's fingers tighten slightly around hers, the only outward sign of his tension. My intentions are to advance our understanding of interdimensional science through collaborative research. Dr. Novak's presence has already yielded significant breakthroughs. The council received my preliminary findings yesterday. The administrator studied them both for a long moment, their connected hands clearly not escaping notice. See that scientific advancement remains your priority, Ambassador. Attachment to extra-dimensional beings has historically proven problematic. After the administrator departed, Kira turned to Zev with questioning eyes. Ambassador? A minor diplomatic title, he explained, looking somewhat embarrassed. I've represented Astral in scientific exchanges with neighboring systems. And what did he mean about attachment being problematic? She pressed. Before Zev could answer, the music swelled dramatically and the crowd moved toward the center of the plaza. Hundreds of lumini orbs converged, forming complex patterns that mirrored the twin moons, now visible in the darkening sky. The dance is beginning, Zev said, gently pulling her forward. I'll explain later. The Australians had formed concentric circles, moving in synchronized patterns that seemed both choreographed and spontaneous. Zev guided Kira into the outermost ring, positioning his hands to demonstrate the movements. Follow my lead, he said softly. The dance celebrates cosmic connections, the gravitational dialogue between celestial bodies. Kira mirrored his movements, quickly adapting to the flowing rhythm. Their bodies moved in tandem, closer than propriety might dictate for mere colleagues. The lumini orb swirled around them, responding to their energy, glowing more intensely when they touched. You dance remarkably well for someone from a different dimension, Zev observed, his silver eyes reflecting the bioluminescent light. Maybe some things are universal, Kira replied breathlessly, as he guided her through a turn that brought their bodies momentarily flush against each other. The music crescendoed as the moons reached perfect alignment overhead. The entire plaza was bathed in silver light, and the lumini orbs pulsed in perfect synchronization. In that moment of cosmic harmony, Zev's hand moved to the small of Kira's back, drawing her closer. Administrator Trell was referring to our prohibition against interspecies relationships, he said quietly, his lips close to her ear. And a regulation I find increasingly difficult to support. Kira's heart raced, the lumini around them brightening in response to their emotional energy. Are you risking your position by being here with me? Zev's skin patterns formed the configuration she now recognized as deep emotional intensity. Some discoveries are worth the risk, Dr. Novak. As the twin moons created a rare eclipse overhead, Zev's cool fingers traced the contour of her cheek in a distinctly non-scientific exploration. Kira leaned into his touch, the differences between their species seeming increasingly irrelevant compared to the connection forming between them. Around them, the lumini pulsed with a brilliance that drew attention from nearby dancers, silently broadcasting what both scientists were only beginning to acknowledge, that their collaboration had evolved far beyond the parameters of their initial research.
Scientific synchronicity. Kira adjusted the micro-tension scanner, carefully aligning it with the quantum fluctuation meter Zev had provided. The laboratory they'd been assigned within the Astralin Dimensional Studies Institute was far beyond anything she'd worked with on Earth. Equipment that seemed to anticipate her needs. Interfaces that responded to thought patterns as well as touch. Try reducing the harmonic frequency by 0.3 intervals, Zev suggested, his purple fingers dancing across a holographic display. Your device operates on different principles than our technology, but the underlying quantum mathematics appears universal. After 3 days of intensive work, they had managed to stabilize the remnants of Kira's portal device, enough to analyze its function. The familiar scientific process had helped Kira maintain her sanity amid the overwhelming reality of her situation. She was light years from Earth on an alien world, working alongside a being from a species humans had never encountered. There, Kira said as the frequency adjusted. The resonance pattern is stabilizing. Zev moved closer, his silver eyes brightening with excitement. Extraordinary! You've achieved quantum entanglement without polarized tachyon mediation. On Astral, we've been approaching interdimensional travel through tachyon manipulation for centuries. We don't have the technology to generate or control tachyons on Earth, Kira explained, finding comfort in the technical discussion. My approach uses naturally occurring dimensional weak points enhanced through electromagnetic resonance. Their hands brushed as they both reached to adjust the scanner. The brief contact sent a peculiar warmth through Kira's fingers, a sensation she attributed to the slightly different bioelectrical field Australians naturally generated. Your method is elegantly simple, Zev commented, his voice carrying that musical quality that Kira had begun to find soothing. It suggests dimensional boundaries are more permeable than our research has indicated. Kira smiled, despite her exhaustion. Or maybe your universe has different physical laws than mine. A fascinating hypothesis we should explore over sustenance, Zev replied, gesturing toward the laboratory exit. You've been working for 14 continuous cycles. Even Australians require rest periods. Kira reluctantly pulled herself away from the equipment. I keep forgetting that a day here is 30 hours, not 24. Your adaptation has been remarkable, Zev noted, as they left the lab, walking through corridors that curved organically rather than following human architectural logic. I've pulled enough all-nighters in my career to have completely destroyed my circadian rhythm anyway, Kira joked. Zev's expression turned curious. All-nighters? Working through the night without sleep. Common practice for Earth scientists facing deadlines or breakthroughs. Ah, we have a similar concept called luminous persistence, though our physiology requires shorter rest periods than humans appear to need. The conversation flowed easily between them as they navigated the Institute's complex layout. Kira had expected to feel profound alienation on this world, but Zev's presence provided an unexpected anchor. Their shared scientific language transcended their biological differences. Instead of the communal dining area where they'd eaten previous meals, Zev led her to an elevator platform that rose swiftly through the building's core. Where are we going? Kira asked. The observatory dome. I thought you might appreciate a change of environment. The platform stopped at the Institute's highest level, opening into a breathtaking space enclosed by a transparent dome. The alien sky spread above them in all its glory, deep indigo scattered with unfamiliar stars, and the two moons Kira now knew were called Lumina and Cyril. A small table had been prepared with an array of foods, some recognizable from previous meals, others new and intriguing. Soft ambient lighting illuminated the space without diminishing the stellar panorama above. "This is beautiful," Kira said softly, approaching the edge of the dome, where the city of Astral Prime stretched below, a glistening expanse of spiraling structures that seemed to grow organically from the landscape. "I come here to think when research problems prove particularly challenging," Zev admitted, joining her at the viewpoint. "It provides perspective." They sat to eat, and Kira found herself studying Zev as much as the alien landscape. The subtle patterns beneath his purple skin shifted with his emotions, a trait she had begun to decipher. Excitement or intellectual stimulation created rippling waves, while contentment manifested as gentle pulses. "Your portal device should be functional within 15 cycles if our calculations are correct," Zev mentioned, pouring a luminescent liquid into crystal glasses, "though considerable modifications will be needed to ensure a precise targeting of your home dimension." Kira accepted the beverage, which tasted like honeyed starlight. "You've been incredibly generous with your time and resources. I don't know how to thank you." "The exchange of knowledge benefits both our species," Zev replied, then added more quietly, "and I find your presence intellectually stimulating." Something in his tone made Kira look up sharply. The patterns beneath his skin had formed an unfamiliar configuration, faster, more intense. "Just intellectually?" she asked, surprising herself with her boldness. Zev's silver eyes met hers. "Australians value precision in communication, Dr. Novak. If I was being completely accurate, I would say I find your presence stimulating across multiple dimensions of experience." The air between them seemed to charge with the same energy that powered her portal device. Kira felt her pulse quicken as she recognized the universal nature of attraction, something that apparently transcended species boundaries. "I'm experiencing something similar, though I'm having trouble distinguishing between the natural excitement of first contact and, other reactions?" Zev's expression softened. "A perfectly rational confusion. Perhaps we should apply scientific method to the question." "What would that entail?" Kira asked, her voice slightly unsteady. "Observation, hypothesis formation, controlled experimentation," his mouth curved in that now familiar almost smile, "and rigorous analysis of results." Kira laughed, tension breaking. "Are you flirting with me using the scientific method, Dr. Zev?" "Is it working?" he asked, the patterns beneath his skin pulsing in what she now recognized as amusement. "Surprisingly well," she admitted, raising her glass in a toast. "To cross-dimensional collaboration." "In all its forms," Zev agreed, touching his glass to hers. Above them, the twin moons aligned in rare conjunction, bathing the observatory in silver light that seemed to blur the boundaries between two beings from different worlds, drawn together by forces as fundamental as gravity. Part 3. Cultural Exchange. "The atmospheric composition is tolerable for you?" Zev asked, as their transport vessel glided toward the city center. "I've adjusted the personal field generator to optimize oxygen levels around you." Kira nodded, her attention captured by the spectacular view outside. After 2 weeks confined mostly to the Institute, Zev had finally obtained permission for her to visit Lumina Festival, an annual celebration marking the celestial alignment of Astral Prime's moons. "It's perfect," she assured him, fingering the delicate necklace he had given her. The device was disguised as jewelry, but maintained a bubble of Earth-like atmosphere around her. I can't believe I'm actually going to experience an alien cultural event. Do you know how many anthropologists on Earth would kill for this opportunity? Zev's skin patterns rippled with amusement. Let's hope your scientific observation doesn't require such extreme measures. The transport settled onto a platform overlooking a vast circular plaza already filled with Australians. Kira had met a few of Zev's colleagues at the Institute, but this was her first exposure to the broader population. Despite their similar basic physiology, bipedal with 2 arms and recognizable facial features, she was struck by the diversity among them. Their purple skin ranged from deep violet to pale lavender, with varying pattern complexities that she now understood indicated age, lineage, and social standing.
I'll create part 3 of a science fiction romance story, featuring a human and a purple-skinned alien character. Part 3. Whispers of Truth. Leo stared at the holographic display floating between them, the encrypted data pulsing with information that could change everything. Kira's purple fingers moved gracefully through the projection, separating strands of code with practiced precision. The dim light of his penthouse suite cast an ethereal glow across her lavender skin, highlighting the delicate patterns that traced her shoulders and down her arms. "This proves your theory," Kira whispered, her violet eyes wide with realization. "The stellar convergence wasn't natural. Someone engineered the collision that destroyed my homeworld." Leo nodded grimly, watching her process the information. In the 3 weeks since he'd discovered Kira living secretly among the human refugees on his island resort, they'd formed an unlikely alliance. He'd offered her protection from those who would exploit her alien biology, while she provided insights into deep space phenomena that his research team could never have discovered alone. What he hadn't anticipated was how quickly she would break through the walls he'd built around his heart after Elena's death. "The question is who," Leo said, moving closer to examine the data. Their shoulders brushed, sending a familiar warmth through his body. "My people were peaceful. We had no enemies, no valuable resources that would warrant such destruction." Leo reached out instinctively, his fingers intertwining with hers. Her skin felt warmer than human temperature, silky smooth against his palm. "We'll find the truth, Kira. I promise." She looked down at their joined hands, a small smile softening her features. The Zarovians had been touch telepaths, able to sense emotions through skin contact. Though Kira had explained she possessed only a fraction of that ability, Leo knew she could feel the sincerity of his promise, and perhaps something more. "You've risked so much already," she said softly. "Your company, your reputation. If anyone discovers you're harboring the last Zarovian—" "Let them try to take you," Leo replied, his voice hardening. The protectiveness he felt surprised even him. 3 weeks ago, he was a reclusive billionaire, hiding from the world's judgment after his failed atmospheric stabilization project. Now he was willing to risk everything for her. They worked late into the night, analyzing the corrupted data from the space station that had recorded the convergence. Kira's knowledge of stellar physics, combined with Leo's advanced computational systems, gradually revealed a pattern hidden within the chaos. "There," Kira said suddenly, isolating a sequence. "That's not random. That's a transmission signature." Leo enhanced the segment, recognition dawning on him. "It matches the frequency used by terraforming corporations. Specifically, Stellaris Technologies," they said in unison. Leo's expression hardened. "My former partners, the ones who claimed my atmospheric stabilization project was too dangerous and forced me out." Kira turned to him, her eyes searching his face. "You think they caused the convergence to discredit your work?" "And killed millions of your people in the process," Leo said, the horror of it sinking in. "They wouldn't have known Zarovians existed.
Your planet was uncharted in our databases. Kira's hand trembled in his. Tears gathered in her violet eyes, catching the light like amethysts. All this time I thought I was alone because of some cosmic accident. Leo pulled her gently into his arms, her slender body fitting perfectly against his. He'd never held anyone so different yet so familiar. Her head rested against his chest, purple hair spilling over his arm like liquid twilight. You're not alone anymore, and we'll make them answer for what they've done. Kira looked up at him, her face inches from his. Why do you care so much? I'm nothing to your world, just a refugee, an alien. Leo touched her cheek, tracing the luminescent markings that appeared when her emotions intensified. I've admitted, you're everything I thought was lost. Hope, purpose, the belief that I could make a difference. The truth hung between them, unspoken but undeniable. In finding her, he had found himself again. Kira's eyes held his, a universe of understanding passing between them. Slowly, she leaned forward, closing the distance until her lips met his. The kiss was gentle, exploratory, a bridge between worlds that should never have met. When they parted, Leo felt something he hadn't experienced in years, a future worth fighting for. Tomorrow, we take this evidence to the Federation Council. We expose Stellaris and their crimes. Kira nodded, though fear flickered across her features. They'll discover what I am. Everyone will. And I'll be right beside you. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Outside the penthouse windows, waves crashed against the shoreline of his private island, a rhythm as ancient as the stars. Leo knew that once they revealed the truth, there would be no going back. Stellaris technologies would use every resource to silence them, and the world would never see either of them the same way again. But as Kira's fingers traced patterns on his chest, her purple skin glowing softly in the darkness, Leo Kendrick, once the most isolated man on Earth, knew with absolute certainty that he had found something irreplaceable among the stars.